Go.
Yo, peace, gentlemen. This is Adriel from Hip Hop Talks. I'm here with Coop and the homie Sean. We got a little bit more to talk about today. Hip hop is unraveling in real time, and we're here to tell y'all about it. So, just to jump it off, I want to kind of timestamp this thing because we all remember where we were at and what we were doing when we heard some of the greatest diss tracks of all time. And we ain't jumping out the window saying that about this one yet, but it's surely an impactful one. So, just to kind of timestamp it a little bit, I'm gonna walk through what I was doing at the time, and then I'm gonna pass it to the brothers. But yesterday morning was crazy. Sean had hit me on my phone and sent me a few bars from, what was to be a leaked Drake diss, and I hit him back that I didn't think it was real. So I went to YouTube, checked it out, and then we at the table, what I'm saying, about to eat breakfast, me and my kids, and I'm listening to a snippet, and I'm like, nah, I don't think it's real. So then my son come in the kitchen and dining room, and he's like, yo, the track is out. And I'm like, nah, man, this ain't it. I think it's AI. And I didn't know he was listening to the full version. And he was like, no, I think it's real. So then I put some headphones on and I tapped in and I was like, yo, this vocal tone, because something about AI still be slightly off. It sounds just like the artist, but something be slightly off about it. And then once I heard the vocal tone of Drake, I was like, nah, this definitely got to be real. So then our Discord, Sean, the Discord was on fire yesterday. Everybody posting stuff and everything was unraveling in real time. Everybody still, kind of on the fence of it being AI. And then when the confirmation came through from Academic Stream that it was in fact the real diss track that had leaked. So that was confirmation enough for me. And then Roy and Maul on their podcast had referenced it a few days ago, said drop and give me 50. So they had evidently heard the track. So, somebody linked that in the chat and I was able to see that, okay, if they're referencing the title of the track, then this is the real deal. So, putting all the puzzle pieces together, it was a wild, time hearing that yesterday. And then the saga continued later after that when we got the second beat version, which is the official beat. So it was crazy. So what do y'all fellas think, and what was y'all doing when y'all heard the tracks come through?
What up, fam? What up, AG? What up, Sean? Peace, peace, peace.
Peace.
Yeah. Blessings
Peace,
this morning. So yesterday was my daughter's prom. And so I'm literally running around with her and coordinating with her mother about prom shit like all day, like starting at like 11 o'clock in the morning. And so, we're on a thread together. Y'all were actually my tie-in because I'm at the nail shop. I'm at the beauty salon. I'm at the mall, in the department stores, grabbing all the last minute, accessories and paying $200 for some damn nails and feet, which is ridiculous. You know what I mean? So I'm out here on dad time. I mean, like I was borderline, like it was making me aggy because it's like, my daughter comes first, but I was like, these niggas decided to beef on my daughter's prom day. And so and my daughter, like, she's ahead by blood, not relation. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, it's going down right now, sweetie. I was like, but it's all about you.
That's dope, though. You gotta be a father first.
Yeah. I mean, anybody knows me. I'm family oriented and I'm a father first. But I really didn't get to listen and dissect the track until that night, until like, we had got done taking the pictures and she actually went off the prom. So when y'all see me on the thread, like somebody send me the record, that's just because all I was getting was blurbs and snippets. And it's like, I'm in a mall, I'm in a nail salon. I couldn't really hear properly. So it wasn't until I was in the whip headed to work about 8 o'clock that I actually got to listen and start dissecting the track. And I didn't get to hear the track repeatedly until I got off of work. So it was like early in the morning before I was like, so I'm on the way home from work doing my breakdown. So it's like I literally didn't catch it, and really get to disseminate what was going on and being said by Drake and by Ross to like, I don't like to give away my in and out times, but it was the wee hours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was crazy because I told AG something was coming because I was getting some information from some sources. And I said, I don't know when it's happening, but it's coming. I said, just be prepared. And we got to be on our P's and Q's when it happens. Because I still was trying to figure out what was going on. There was a lot of information flowing. It was going in real time. I was getting messages like crazy back to back. And I hit Coop in the chat, was like, yo, here's the disc record. And like Coop said, he was moving around himself. He was like, yo, is this real? I'm like, we're still trying to figure it out. Then I hit AG up. I'm like, yo, here are some lyrics. I think this is real. We thinking it's AI at one point, and then the information started flowing a little bit more. And then I said, well, let's just hold tight and let's see what happens. And the next thing you know, boom, here we go. We're back into it.
Well, you know what actually got me excited for it was actually, you know, we're on the thread. Shout out to Andrew and Mirror Music. I mean, those who follow me and follow Andrew on Mirror Music know Andrew's an English teacher for high school students. And so he deals with AI. You know what I'm saying? Because it's part of his world and the AI technology and stuff being written through AI. And so when he made a very poignant statement in our thread when he was like, well, AI is usually not this detailed.
Right.
And that's when I was like, oh, that's real, because that is professionally what he does to make a living and provide for his family. And so when somebody like it's different for somebody to just give an abstract opinion. It's like, no, that's professionally the world he resides in. And his critical breakdown of it early on is like, oh, this is a little bit too detailed to be AI.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So when he said that, so, you know, I'm still running around with baby girl, but when he said that is when my ears kind of perked up, because it's like, I know how my man talk. I've known him since we was 15 years old. He don't jump out the window and say stuff like that. He's probably the most cautious and pragmatic dude that I know. You know what I'm saying? So when he's like, nah, this is a little bit too detailed to be AI, it got me excited because it gave me confirmation. But then I was like, oh, he must really be saying some stuff on this record that's personal.
Gave it the stamp. And shout out to Andrew, by the way.
Shout out to Andrew. Just real quick, and people need to understand this, because I've already been seeing, like I said, I've seen more of the tea leaves than I've heard the records until, you know, a few hours ago. There are no rules in battle, guys. There are no rules to engagement. This isn't like hip-hop battling isn't chess in the sense that there's not a set of rules that you have to follow. The thing about battling in hip-hop is that it's all fair game. When I make my tennis analogies where hip-hop and tennis like differ, is that there's a set of rules that come with tennis. Like there's literally lines on the court that you have to stay in to put the ball in play. Hip-hop don't work that way. And so everybody feeling like, oh, well, you know, why he say this about his shoe size and why he say this? It's like, because there's no rules. And it's just the mark of like a softer generation to me, quite frankly, that they don't understand. It is like, oh no, you bringing up people's wives, people's shoe size, like it's fair game. It's whatever. Like go listen to No Vaseline. It doesn't get more whatever than that.
I agree, Coop. The thing that, you know, to, you know, kind of piggyback off that, what I was seeing on Twitter yesterday and in our Discord group, a lot of people let the Joe Budden podcast gas them a little bit too much, I believe. You know what I'm saying? With the whole nuclear statement, because I've seen a lot of tweets and comments go out, well, this is cool, but it's not nuclear. And I was starting to think, you know, I don't think he meant in a literal sense, because Joe always talks about rapper brain or whatever. And I think he might have heard some of the record or heard what was said. And once he knew that Kendrick's wife with the double entendre with the Whitney thing was a mention, all bets are off now and it's up. You know what I mean? I think that's what he meant about the nuclear aspect, like where it's going to go from here, it's up, you know, because in nuclear warfare, somebody got to drop the first nuke, right? Drop the first bomb. And I think that's what he meant. And I think if people are delving too literal into it, saying, well, this is not an end all be all nuclear disc, but I don't think they, you know, really saw the forest for the trees, if that makes sense.
Well, I think that's, go ahead, Sean.
No, I would say I agree with that, because I think the nuclear part is Drake responded to everybody, period. I don't think it's so much as what he said. I'm just saying that he's addressing it. This is more of a setup. When he did Charged Up, this was more so he's saying, I'm ramping up for you guys, ramping up for you, Meek. You know, so just be prepared. This was more of a ramp up. This is not like the nuclear bomb. This is the ramp up. And I think what what Joe was trying to express was, he's addressing everybody, including you, Kendrick. This is the first time that we really got familiar with Drake and Kendrick going at each other directly and back and forth. So I'm gonna flip it back to you, Coop. I know you had something to say on that as well, because I want to touch back up on that. It's a bait track. I'm bringing all of y'all out now. I'm going to clear the forest a little bit because I'm focusing on Kendrick. Kendrick, don't get it twisted. Kendrick is still a target. He is still a target, but I still have to address all these other elements before I get to Kendrick. I'm tapping you, Kendrick, and letting you know I hear you. I see you. I got something for you, but let me clear the forest a little bit to get directly to you. Go ahead, Poop.
No. I totally agree. So here's what he really did. Like, first of all, and I meant this when I said this, like in the promo ad, it's like, nah, like Drake is a head's head. So it's like he's shown us in the past with his past beefs, because he's the only one of all these guys that's really been in like some beefs other than like the Ross 50 thing. Like I said, man, he moved diss tracks the way Noah moved birds into the ark by the 2. So what people need to understand is that this isn't the body blow. This is the jab. Like, this is the jab. This isn't a right cross. This isn't a hook. This isn't an uppercut. This isn't him trying to land a power punch and get the knockout. This is literally the jab to set up the real punch. Like, what you do is like, so I reference boxing on here a lot, and I reference Ali. Part of what made Ali the greatest boxer of all time is the jab, because Ali would kill you with the jab and break you down for 4, 5, 6 rounds, and then he would start swinging on you. Like, when that jab done got your face a little swole, when you done had to put your arms up so many times that now your arms are a little bit more tired because that jab is so heavy and his arms are so long and that jab is so stiff. About round 5 or 6 is when he start taking his shots at you. And so this is more Drake using that jab, like boom, boom, boom. And he on his Oprah shit is what I feel like is it. And this is where it's really the setup. Kendrick is the focus. But he's on his Oprah shit, like, you can get a diss, you can get a diss, you can get a diss, you can get a diss. And I think he's setting it up because he really feels like, now also too, he kind of pulled their card in a street way that people need to understand, where he made it, and he literally brought it to the light. He's like, well, y'all ganging up on me. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, he might have a diss record for each one of these guys. So they need to be careful. Yeah. So it's like, no. There's probably a Kendrick diss in the can. There's a Ross diss in the can. And there's probably a Future and Metro diss in the can. And there might even be a Cole diss in the can. You know what I'm saying?
I tell y'all Thursday, I say Cole got to take a shot from him as well. Pause. And cool, I'm going to raise your Oprah analogy and raise it with Franklin saying body, 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 body. Everybody. You know what I mean? Because you're right. At the end of the day, everybody got to get touched. Pause. Even you, Cole, you came out here and you did what you did. Now I got to let you know, you're the little homie. Get back a little bit. You know what I mean?
He said, I don't care what he say.
I don't care what he said.
Yeah.
I'm glad he said that.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean, it had some shades of no Vaseline, because there aren't too many diss records where the artist actually vacillates in the mentioning multiple people. You know what I'm saying? Like, no Vaseline is the only other diss record I can think of where it's like, no, you're going to get a shot.
Yeah.
Dre, Ren, you going to get a shot. Okay. Easy, you going to get a shot. And your man, the boss Heller, he going to get a shot too. So it has the makings of a good diss record. Here's what the problem is with the diss record. It's us. It's the media. Because the media is so microwave and so quick to jump on things and to amp things up instead of letting it actually play out. The response to this track would be totally different if Mal and Rory and Joe would have just said nothing. Like, if they would have said nothing, the effects would be greater, because there's some shots on here that are actually like, oh no, like that's some I declare war type of stuff. Like, when you pretty much saying that somebody's getting jerked for they publishing and rap, oh no, that's personal. When you pretty much saying you're getting extorted by the dude who really, you know what I mean, runs your camp and runs Compton. And here's the coldest shot that he threw that people aren't realizing. He pretty much told him, like, remember when Jay told Nas, like, I got more shooters in Queensbridge than you? Mm-hmm. That was the shot on that record for me. Like, he kind of like took a page out of Jay's book from that regret. He's like, man, I got more of a squad in Compton than you do. And truthfully, anybody who knows how this game works, like from the back end in terms of how the streets run, it's like, well, what he's really saying is what we already know. Well, YG and the game are the men in Compton that that the city get behind. You know what I'm saying? Like in real time, in real life, not in the media, not in the public perception, but in real time, YG and the game are the ones that Compton, like the city and the people from Compton, actually get behind because they embody Compton more than he does. And so that was the subtle shot that I thought was the biggest shot, because if you know the behind the scenes, you know it's like, well, YG and Game got more respect than Compton. Kendrick's only bigger in the media perception's eyes as far as being the rapper from Compton that everybody know. In the city, it's YG and Game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the kind of piggyback off that, Coop, you cooking right now, bro. And the premise of the record, the whole drop and give me 50, I think a lot of that went over a lot of people's heads with the whole publishing thing. You know what I'm saying? You're going to drop and do it, you know, basically Top is slaving them out. You're going to drop and do whatever I tell you to do, and then I'm going to get 50% of that. Like the line where he was like, Maroon 5, they need a track, they need a feature. The Swifties need a feature. You're going to go over there and do that, and then you're going to drop and give me 50. I think, you know, that was over a lot of people's heads, and it was hilarious. And the premise of that itself is even funny because I think Drake is pointing out, like, I'm supposed to be the pop guy, but if Top tell you to go over here and do these pop features, then you're going to do that and you're going to drop and give me 50, but you're supposed to be the pure quote unquote hip hop artist, right? So I think, you know, a lot of people missed out on that. But the other thing, Coop, I'm glad you brought up No Vaseline addressing different people in the diss. The only other one that I can think of that was real surgical, like at, you know, real efficient dissing many people was Nas on the Stillmatic freestyle, you know, rip through Memphis with money bags and go to Philly, eat beans fast, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that whole scheme he did.
Get a cheesesteak and eat beans fast.
Yeah, get a cheesesteak and eat beans fast. That like whole scheme, like he went through the whole rock, but the way Ice Cube did it on No Vaseline was like surgical. But I think I was going back and forth with people in our Discord group the other day, and No Vaseline is, you was talking about boxing. No Vaseline is the only diss record that I can think of when it was over after the first round. And Coop, you touched on it being a microwave society. To me, it seems like these cats don't even want rounds no more. They expected Drake to come out, drop a bomb on everybody, then it just be done and over with. And they want to see, you remember, we always used to get the Tyson fights back in the day on pay-per-view and get pissed off because Tyson then knocked the cat out in the first round in the first, you know, minute and a half. We want to see some sparring back and forth. We want to see some rounds. But I think today's society don't want to see that. And I can't think of no other battle in history where it was done after, you know, technically one round. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but No Vaseline is all I can think of.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I told people, like, I put No Vaseline slightly ahead of Ether at this stage because it ended NWA. Ether didn't end Jay. Like, it didn't. There was still some back and forth and some sparring to be done, and Jay still became Jay. No Vaseline literally broke up the quote-unquote most dangerous rap group in the world. That was a multi-platinum rap group in times where cats wasn't even really going gold like that. These dudes were multi-platinum. So they had the critical acclaim and the streets, and he dismantled them. And so for people expecting a No Vaseline, Ether, Takeover, the Bitch in You level record, well, much like all-time great rap albums, all-time great diss don't like grow on trees, guy. They don't come around like with the frequency and the fervor that we'd like. Now, I do have like an insightful point that I'd like to make about like maybe projecting this battle a little bit, and I want to gauge your thoughts. All these dudes going at Drake, their biggest issue is actually the fact that he's already been in so many battles as opposed to them. And is so more battle tested than all of them, that he has tons more to say about them than they have to say about him, because he's already been dissected by multiple guys who operate in the battle rap sphere on a high level. Like, it's going to be hard to say something about this man that Pusha T hasn't already been saying for the past decade. Like, that's one thing about this. So we need to think about it from the perspective of, it's like, well, part of how Pusha T won the battle against Drake was because he didn't let up, so he kept on doing multiple disses, but it was the insightfulness, the critical breakdown, the exposing of his inner workings and his personal life that tipped the scales in the battle. Because before, he was just coming off as the angry rapper that wasn't moving enough units in public perception until he exposed some of Drake's personal life. Well, the personal life has already been exposed. Budden's already done it. Common's already done it. Pusha T did it extremely well multiple times, especially with Infrared and Story added on. Them numbers ain't real without inflation. Like, he's already broken down. It was written like Nas, but it came from Quentin. He's already done the ghostwriting shots. He's already exposed the hidden child. And so in battle, part of what makes the battle work and makes it shocking, and part of where no Vaseline worked was, none of us knew that Easy and Jerry was fucking them dudes over like that. We didn't know. That's what made it so powerful. What are these dudes going to say about Drake that we don't already know, guys? That's why, and he said it to Kendrick. He was like, remember the little DM comment he made? And he was like, this is light work. This is just a little bit of what I know. That's him letting them know, I know way more about you that the people don't know than y'all are going to say about me, because I'm the biggest star. I've already been exposed and I've already been in battle multiple times. So these guys are really, they need to be, do not bark at that tree. That tree might fall.
He said, don't make me bring the demon out.
Yeah.
At the end.
And
he has something else. This is a jab, like you said. It's a jab.
And here's
Drake
the last thing we got to think.
And
I'm going to let y'all back in. Here's another thing that we need to think about. And I said this on the last show. Well, he is responsible for a lot of these guys' hits record. Like when he starts off the record talking about, I handed you your first #1. Well, he's not lying when he said that.
Right.
Nope.
Kendrick's second single off Good Kid, Mad City is Poetic Justice. That was the big quote unquote hit of the album. Think about how many hits Ross has on his album that have a Drake feature. Drake don't got Ross features on his albums, this big hits. It's the other way around. Metro and Future and Drake did a whole fucking album together, but who's the star of the album in the mind of the people?
That could be applied a lot of ways, but what I'm seeing is that line was mainly for Future for that Way Too Sexy record. That was Future's first #1. He's gonna literally put it in his hand. Pause, by the way. Sean, I'll let you go first to reply to Coop's comments.
No, I agree with Coop. I think that Drake is not throwing this out here just to say this is a one and done. This is a setup. Drake has more on these guys. The industry talk too much. There's too many intertwines, right? These guys have all collaborated in some capacity for years. You don't think he knows enough? You don't think someone in Kendrick's old camp hasn't shared information with Drake that he's probably holding on to? You don't think these guys all pillow talk? They all talk to each other. So Drake is not going to jump out here and go at someone like Kendrick or all of these guys for the fact of the matter without knowing that he has something else in his possession. Same thing he did with Meek. He had information on where Meek was like really in a tough spot. He knew that. He knew Meek was compromised. He knew in some capacity Kendrick is also compromised. So he's not going to just throw that out there knowing that Kendrick can come back with something else. The thing about it is, fellas, we have to understand this. Everyone has thrown any bar you can think of at Drake, whether it was directly or indirectly. They shot many shots at him for the past several years. Pusha was more surgical because he broke it down piece by piece, layer by layer. So now when you go that route, like Coop said, you go that route, what more can I say at this point? Because Drake is going to take all of those things and he's making fun of himself in some points. He's actually took it and put a spin on it because he's very witty. We don't give Drake enough credit for being as witty as he is because he's taking all those shots, pause, he absorbed them and he throw it right back out piece by piece. He'll make fun of himself in his own song and directly make a shot at somebody else. To me, that's a very good strategist.
Well, to point that out, part of what made Back to Back such an epic diss track was his ability to laugh at himself and flip it. When he said, "Oh, you getting bodied by a singer, nigga." When he said that, I was like, this battle's over. Because now he's saying, because what he did on that record is he proved it's like, well, I'm gonna say it about myself before you say it about me. He took the power from Meek when he did that.
The Eminem 8 Mile approach, the B Rabbit approach.
Yeah.
He he alluded to something like that on this one. He said, "Y'all gonna make me chip a nail." You all heard that one?
Yeah.
About,
Like
you know,
that's him letting them know it's like, yeah, I'm somewhere on a plane getting a manicure while I'm writing this record. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit though, because Drake, he really, in the ways that you spoke about, Coop and Sean, he does have the upper hand because everything has been said about him already. But just looking at people's reactions yesterday, I think he's in a tough place to win. And I think this is going to be an uphill battle for him no matter what he comes out. And that's for two reasons. Like, he was very surgical in, dissing everybody, about 5 people in a 4-minute diss track, right? But I see a lot of talk, especially on Twitter, saying, well, he should have focused solely on Kendrick, and it would have been, more effective. Okay, so you got a group of people saying that, but if he doesn't address those other people like Metro, Future, Ross at all, then you got a segment of people saying the Kendrick diss is okay, but he didn't address everybody else. So it's like a lose-lose situation. And with Drake, it's really unbalanced scales. So that makes me beg the question, the people that's pulling for Kendrick in this battle seem to hold Drake to a higher standard. And do you subconsciously think Drake is better? Because Drake said in the bars, y'all make excuses for him, right?
Yeah.
So when Kendrick drops something, it tends to be overly inflated. And I'm a Kendrick fan, but the vast majority overinflated. The Like That joint was just a verse. And then when Drake drops, people tend, because of who he is, his persona, who the messenger is, they tend to downplay it. Yes. So these two guys going head to head, if one is overblown and one is downplayed, then I don't see how Drake can come on top of that whole situation. Because, whatever Kendrick come out with, because there's people out there that really believe the Like That singular verse is better than this whole Drake song.
That's just not true.
I don't agree with it either, but that's the temperature I got on Twitter yesterday.
Yeah, like AG, if we were to critically analyze this, like if we were to use the literary devices involved and actually give it a formal critical breakdown and look at the double entendres, the metaphors, the similes, the actual format of how he's rapping, it's far superior to the Kendrick record. People just want Kendrick to win. Like I've said this multiple times, like Kendrick's verse on Control is probably the most overrated verse of all time. It's not even the best fucking verse on the song. Jay Electronica's verse is better on Control.
Yes.
And so the public, but we want the public, we the hip hop public have tended, and I'm guilty of this too, just like UAG. Well, we've always wanted Kendrick to win more than we've wanted Drake to win, because quite frankly, Drake came into this game winning real big. And Ross kind of subtly addressed it, kind of making it seem like, well, it's like you kind of came in this game on Lil Wayne back. It's like, well, yeah, it's like you kind of came in this game on Jay's back. So,
but Drake surpassed Wayne. We got to call it what it is, In
terms of what? Because I find Wayne to be the superior MC still.
No, he's a superior MC, but stardom and notoriety and all that stuff,
Oh yeah,
kind of like where Jay is a far better MC than Kanye, but Kanye surpassed him as far as stardom. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like on that regard.
Yeah, but in both instances, I have Wayne and Jay higher all time still than I have Drake and Ye.
Absolutely.
I do too. And I'm glad you brought up Ross, because to my point about how everybody downplays Drake, the same people that was saying oh, his diss is whack, he bringing up my man's shoe size 7. Fast forward to some hours later when Ross called Drake white boy 7 times at the end of the track, they're gassing that. And I'm like, people are not, keeping it objective and balanced. You know what I mean? They saying Drake corny for bringing up Kendrick being small in stature, and then, Ross calling him white boys all of a sudden dope.
I mean, what's the difference between Drake, bringing up Kenny's shoe size and smaller stature than, Nas using stuff like dick sucking lips on Ether, or calling Jay a Tybo hoe? What's the difference?
Right.
You see, it's sometimes it's about where the information is coming from, and people already have
the messenger. Yeah.
They already.
Right.
we're all human beings. We have preset biases, whether we want to admit it or not.
Right.
And so one thing that we need to do about this battle, because there are preset biases that are aligned with both Drake and Kendrick specifically, is to not let those biases run the battle and make it about the actual raps. Like, it's about the rhymes. It's about how you put it together. It is about, well, who lands the harder shots and the blows? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's keep it at that. Let's not make it about who you want to win. Let's not make it about who should win. Let's make it about, we got to treat it like a real boxing scorecard. It's like, well, who's actually winning the fight? Who actually won this round? If you're asking me who won this round so far,
it's Drake.
Like, it's Drake, because the hardest thing Kendrick said is ain't no big three. It's just the big me. Oh, no. Drake talking about you getting extorted by Top is way stronger than that.
But here, people keep moving the goalpost, Coop, and a lot. I mean, I just think that they're trying to stack the deck against Drake. I've even seen a lot of people say, well, the Drake, this record doesn't count as much because it's not on DSPs. He didn't officially release it. And I'm like, we're from the mixtape era. How does that matter? Even if you remember back to Duppy never made its way on DSPs. It was on SoundCloud, OVO SoundCloud, and it was on YouTube, right? So why would it have to officially be on DSPs to be quote unquote better than the previous diss track? You know what I mean? This, to me, this warrants a response from Kendrick. Round one, Kendrick had Like That. Drake had this song addressing him. The ball's in Kendrick court. To me, he has come out with a full-on diss track to Drake. Period.
Well, I mean, we can't, you know, we got to eat the fruit from the tree that's provided to us. We can't go like trying to find a new tree at this point in the game. Like, the Bitch in You wasn't on any Common albums. The Stillmatic Freestyle isn't on any Nas albums. We had to find that shit through mixtapes and through the DJs playing it on late night mixes. And so not all disses are created the same in terms of how the record is broken. Is Drop a Gem on them on Hell on Earth? Is No Vaseline on Death Certificate? It's like, but there's for every No Vaseline, there's the Bitch in You. You know what I'm saying? For every Drop a Gem on them, there's a Stillmatic freestyle. So it doesn't have to make the album. It doesn't have to make
Super Ugly wasn't on the album
platform. Yeah. I mean, but they were playing Super Ugly on the radio though.
Right. I think this era just doesn't, I don't know. Like I said, I think they're just stacking the deck against Drake and looking for any excuse. And that's one thing that I was hearing a lot yesterday, that because he didn't officially drop it, that he's scared or doing a temperature check to see what the fans think first. And it's not official. But to that point, what do you guys think about the beat comparison, the first beat and then the official beat? Because even a lot of people, even Reason from TDE tweeted about the official beat being hard. So what are y'all's takes on that? Which version did you like better?
I mean, the final version, of course, is the right version. I think in the beginning, when it was when we had like that first rollout, when people thought it was AI, of course it sounded a little scruffy. I like the Who Kid intro more than anything else. I think we're forgetting about that Who Kid intro, because that Who Kid intro give us that callback to the mixtape era when it was really up. And I don't think that was calculated. That's not like just an accident.
Small aesthetics.
It's a small aesthetics, and attention to detail is what gets me the most, because when you specifically go to Who Kid and you drop it this way, that Who Kid signature sound, that's letting you know we're in this era right now. You look at the billboard that's saying hip hop is a competitive sport. He's letting you know this is what I'm about to do. This is what I'm doing. So I think honestly, AG, I think the beat, you know, the AI, all that fodder, I don't care about that. I'm talking about the aesthetic approach that he took when it came to all of this. And I want to go back to what something Coop said earlier, because I want to compare this and also what you said, AG, about, you know, they want to get Drake up out of here. Think about when Ja was going up against everybody at that time. When Ja was going up against 50, and then Busta tagged in, Eminem tagged in, Dre tagged in. Everyone started going at Ja. He tried his best to pull up out of that and start dissing everybody, and it fell on deaf ears. No matter what Ja would have said during that time, it wouldn't have mattered. He was already done. The public had already made a consensus that they want him up out of here, and he was going up against a juggernaut. That's what Drake is going up against, and he's still holding his own regardless.
Yeah.
Respectfully, because and I've always liked Ja, and I actually feel like Ja doesn't get the proper credit he deserved because of how that battle played out. But he did himself a disservice by focusing too much on those R&B inspired records with the female on the hook, and like that's where he hurt himself. So he left himself open for that because he wasn't exercising what I like to call the petty hip hop fundamentals that make you a good battle MC. Drake doesn't have those issues. Drake does what Ja does on record, but he also does the petty type of shit that a great MC and a great battler do. Like he is off the Jay-Z and Nas tree in the sense that it's like, oh no, he's petty. You know what I'm saying? He's petty and he'll throw shots at you. And the problem was that I feel like Ja's camp at the time was telling him, oh, no, don't pay them niggas no mind. Just keep on making these records, keep on making these hits. It's like, no, nigga, address it. Because that's what Drake does every time. Like every time somebody steps to Drake, he addresses it. Because if you don't address it, it's just, Sean, AG, y'all know this. It's just like rap works like the streets in this regard. Well, if you just let a nigga say something about you and you don't go handle that situation, what the nigga gonna keep on doing? He gonna keep on coming at you. And then the neighborhood gonna get behind him. And then other niggas is gonna be like, well, let me go ahead and take a shot at him too, since it's free bands out here.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You know, and so Drake doesn't open himself up to that. That's what I mean when I'm saying he's got old school rapper tendencies. He doesn't open himself up to that type of exposure. If you say something about him, he is going to say something back to you.
And one way or another.
One way or another. Yeah. Like he may take some time. Like I think the only time that he took some time was the Pusha T thing, but that's because Pusha T was taking it somewhere, and I think it kind of caught him off guard a little bit. But he still responded. He's going to respond. He's going to respond in kind.
Yeah. But to Sean's point, I like what he's doing aesthetically with it because he's very calculated. And on his IG post, like Kill Bill is one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, you know, with Beatrix Kiddo, like with the sword, with all the, you know what I'm saying, ninjas around her and all that. Like he's letting y'all know visually, aesthetically, like this is what I'm up against and I'm still about to take everybody out. You know what I mean? So
exactly. Because think about it, guys. Everyone going at him is proving his point. I'm the big. It's going to take all of you to get at one me. Like you said, 1 versus 20.
But is he in a place we've never seen before? Because he is the top guy. There's no question about that. But like I said earlier, I think he's coming from an underdog perspective too, because people want him to lose so much and gas everything Kendrick does. And I say that as a Kendrick fan, I've never think we've saw a situation where a guy was the top guy and the underdog all at the same time. Do y'all agree or disagree?
It's different. It's different. Yeah. I'm be honest. It's different. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. It is. I mean, here's the other thing that we have to realize too. And I've really been trying to think about this. Never in hip hop have other stars of rival stature, as in like may not be in the top spot that Drake is in, but are in the relative sphere, a Ross, a Future, a Kendrick. Right. Never have once all of those guys at the same time conspired against one guy. And so here's what I tell you. This actually, for as crazy as it seems, has the opportunity to change Drake's legacy and actually elevate him even further. Because if he gives all of these dudes a fade and he wins, we have to slide him farther up our real hip hop sphere. Not that public opinion Rolling Stone stuff that he's already high on and top 10 on. No, if he fades these guys, we have to have legitimate top 10 conversation about him because he will have done something that nobody of his stature has ever been faced against and done and accomplished. And so this is a potential legacy building moment just about the level of dudes that's conspiring against him and where it's coming from. This ain't like when like J.O. Felony is taking shots at Jay. We all knew J.O. Felony wasn't like, you know what I'm saying? No, this is Future. This is K-Dot. This is Ross. Right. These are some hitters coming at him. And so if they all catch the
somebody said Drake is Julius Caesar.
E2 Brutai. E2. Yeah. So if he hands out some L's to these dudes, it's like no, and he hands the L's out at the same time. No, we have to look at him differently. Then we do need to have a conversation about, well, is he better than Wayne? Because let's be honest, like Pusha T was dissing Wayne for years too, and Wayne never really did nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? Like there have been other dudes that have sat where Drake sat, and I can't think of one of them that had to deal with 3 guys like this at the same time and a guy producer wise that a lot of people think is the best producer or beat maker of this era, like that's a lot to go up against and get a W. So if he gets this W, we need to look at him differently in hip hop terms, not in pop culture terms, because he's already there. In terms of like real life hip hop shit, like when we talk about the Jays, the Nas, the Big, the Pac, the Ice Cube, the Scarface, the Chuck D, the LL, the Kane. Like, no, we need to have that conversation about him if he accomplishes this, because he will literally have done something that hasn't been done before, and he'd be doing it from the number one spot. It's kind of like, I was kind of like, I'm a Godfather fan. It's very comparable to Michael Corleone consolidating his power at the end of Godfather 1 if he pulls this off. It's like, nope, everybody about to catch a bullet while I'm at this christening.
Yeah, I like how you brought up the Metro, how he's going at the number one producer, because Metro really kind of jumped this whole thing off. Man, my son showed me all the Twitter comments on Metro's page. Man, they was going hard at Metro. Everybody telling them, like, "Are you playing some drums?" Like,
hey, somebody in the comments, I just got a comment on this. Like, somebody said Tupac did this on Against All Odds. Like, first of all, understand that was more personal than this. Like, that had to do with personal things going on. And Jay-Z and Nas and all them at the time wasn't running around taking shots at Pac. The only people that really took a shot at Pac, like a verifiable, we talking about you nigga shot, while Pac was here, is Mobb Deep on Drop a Gem on him. The rest of them dudes was not talking that shit to Pac. So that's not an accurate statement that you're making, fam.
I'm glad you brought up that era, Coop. You know what I mean? Because I saw somebody comment in the chat earlier that me and you get giddy over anything. But that's one thing that I was kind of wanting to know, because a lot of things I've been seeing on Twitter yesterday, to us, the 40 and up crowd, a lot of people was like, well, this is a light pack. It really ain't all that, whatever, you know what I mean? Compared to, the Ether takeover days, second round KO with LL and all that. I'm the other aspect. I'm just happy to be back in this space with hip hop again, where it's competitive. You know what I mean? Even if it's not on the level of what we're used to, this hasn't happened in a long time, probably since Pusha T and Drake, which was, a handful of years ago or more. So, how do y'all feel about the space that we're in now? I'm just happy to be getting it. I mean, I'm proud dad. Listen, my son was in shambles yesterday because he's like commenting in the Discord. He's pacing around the house with his hands on his head, like get mad at people's comments. I'm like, dog, welcome to my world. Because when I was in college, I'm about to square up and fight, true friends of mine over the Jay-Z Nas beef. And that's wild to even say as an adult, fighting over another grown man that I don't even know. But that's what it was back then. You know what I'm saying? So, we was going hard and championing our favorite artists and getting upset because we're passionate about this hip hop thing, right? So my son is in that stage now where he's dissecting lyrics. We, going through like, oh, this bar was a double entendre, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just happy we're back here, regardless if it's not on the level of what it was back in the day. But I think a lot of people are downplaying it on that, whole aspect. So what do you guys feel about that?
I'm torn. I'll be honest with you, because I think this is great for hip hop, but we keep talking about what's personal and what's competitive. When we had a chance to live through, we all, same age group, we all lived through the Bridge Wars, we lived through the Pac Wars, we lived through the J, Nas, even X had some static with J, right? Mm-hmm. All of those rhymes were interwoven in some personal things. It was personal on a intimate level, and it was personal on a competitive level. Because back then, when you say I'm number one, you really meant that. It wasn't just for banter, it wasn't for the public, it wasn't for social media. I think this time around, we're looking at this. I'm sitting back looking at the social media takes on it. And to me, I think the social media takes is as loud, if not on the same level as the diss records themselves. Because in live time, people are responding, reacting, as opposed to digesting and processing what's being said. People were talking about the song less than 5 minutes since it was out. Can you even process a record that fast? You know what I mean? When we heard, I tell you guys, I told Coop this behind the scenes about a year ago. When I was in Newport News, Virginia, Bad News, Virginia, in 2001, that's when the night that Ether dropped. I was in a club when Ether dropped. Everybody stopped The DJ said, yo, I got something for y'all. We just got the drop for Nas Ether. We didn't know he was talking about. Everyone stopped and we got close to the DJ booth because we wanted to hear every single word. He played Ether like 10 to 15 times back to back. This is in a club in Newport News, Virginia. Everything stopped. No one had a reaction. They listened. No one said anything. They listened. Right now, you look at today's social media, everyone has something to say. We're talking about is this AI or not? Is the beat sound good or not? It's so much going, it's so much noise in the background as opposed to us really dissecting what's being said and who's being aimed at. And I'm gonna end it like this. I'm gonna pass it to you, Coop. I hit AG up on a message. I said, yo, we got to be careful about Rick Ross. He's the wild card because Ross can take it there. About an hour later, here comes the Ross diss. I say that to say this.
Yeah.
The appetite for that hip hop that we went through, the era that we went through, it was there. We was anticipating what the other person is going to say as opposed to over projecting. I think right now the social media is over projecting everything that's happening right now. That's just my opinion. What you got, Coop?
I agree with you. I'm going to take it a step further and piggyback off your sentiment, if I may, because this is what I mean about like the media. Part of the reason why when you was in Bad News, they played Ether 10 or 15 times is because the DJ understood Nas is the star of this show. I'm just a conduit. You know what I'm saying? I'm just transferring the information for the star. Because of how social media works now and because of the way media works, everybody wants to be a fucking star now. We need to let the stars be stars and do what they do, and we need to fall back and do what we do, which is disseminate the information and let it play out. But everybody wants to be a star so bad that everybody has to be the first to it. Everybody has to be the one, oh, it's nuclear, that, and the other, instead of just letting the stars be stars. And that's what's going on. Let's let Future and Metro and Ross and Kendrick and Drake be the stars that they are, and then let's provide our commentary. That's how it used to work. That's what made these moments big. That's how you get Ether playing in the club in Bad News 10 straight times, because the DJ understands, no, Nas is the star of this show. I'm just the motherfucking DJ that's fortunate enough to drop it tonight in this club, and leave it at that. Yep. I got to go in a second, guys. Do we have any final comments, or do y'all want to slide for a second and let me slide?
Oh, Coop, I had a question for you because you're the when tapping into these lyrics, because I know you're a Prince guy. Did you hear the Prince double entendre that Drake laced that with? That was tough, you know, because what's a prince to a king? It's a son, you know what I mean? Michael Jackson, King of Pop, his son literally name is Prince. You know what I'm saying? So that double entendre was crazy.
That's what I mean. This is what I'm saying when I'm saying no. Drake does old school rapper stuff, like take shots and uses metaphors and double entendres while he's doing it, and actually flips the stuff that the previous rapper said about him and turns it back on. I'm like, yeah, now what you gonna do with that line? Like he invalidates lines. That's part of the process of a battle. Is like he's taking Kendrick's own line and flipping it back, and it's like, oh no, I know how to invalidate that. Let me flip it. That's why I said if we were to actually systemically break this down, like if we were to put it into if we were to put it in an artificial intelligence and be like, what's the more poignant diss record? The AI would spit back out it's Drake because he's doing this, he's doing this, he's doing this, he's doing this, he's doing this.
It was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to say this right quick, and I got a slide. I know that we already about to be leaders in this space because we already got shark biters biting our style. You know, like I can already see niggas biting our style. It's like, haven't you taken enough of my shit? You know what I'm saying? And so I already know that we got people. I already know we got people on their toes because now niggas is changing their whole MO because they've been called out. And now they trying to move different. It's like, you know, that rapper from North Carolina said that he feels like Muhammad Ali. I don't feel like Muhammad Ali. I am Muhammad Ali. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you can try to bite our shit. You can try to rework your programming. You can try to level up. It's not going to be good enough against the champ, and that's all I really got to say.
Real quick, Coop, before you slide, just two more questions that I wanted your take on. Number one, what was your thoughts on the Ross diss? And number two, seeing that it's getting personal in the whole space right now of this battle, do you think Cole is validated in any way to bow out because maybe he knew something beforehand that we didn't? Go.
He probably knew this was coming and didn't want to be part of the friendly fire, but that would be part of the problem that I have with him right now. Like, hip hop's about being with the shits. Everybody like you the one that's stepping down, because here's the reality of the matter. Right now, he's the nicest one of all of them. And so when the nicest nigga is being too nice, like in real life, real time, like the nicest nigga on the mic wants to be like, play nice. When all, like Drake even said it himself, oh, he's like, this shit been brewing behind the scene for years. So hell yeah, Cole knew, because Drake just let everybody know, oh no, this been bubbling for years. And now I made a comment last year on my former podcast when I was like, don't tell me that all these niggas is happy and getting along like this. I said that because it's just not the way money, power, and women work. You know what I'm saying? It ain't. And so Drake is just being honest about it. He's like, yeah, this shit been bubbling for years. Like we've been not able to really stand each other for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
He said he had a diss. The first version of the diss record that came out had few extra bars on the end. They got cut off the official version where he said, yo, you done had a diss track for 4 years. Go ahead and drop it or shut up. You know what I'm saying? Did you hear that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, these dudes run in the same circles, fam. They know each other. They know the women that each other is dealing with. They know what the home situation look like. They know what the money situation look like. They know what the tour. It's just like this. For the industry that I'm in this city, well, everybody in this city knows me and knows how I get down. You want to know why? Because I've been in this industry for over 20 years in this city. So ain't no secrets about me floating around in the city. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop is just like every other profession in that regard, guys. It's like, oh no, if you've been doing something 10, 15, 20 years, the niggas that do the same thing know your MO, know how you move, know what you can do well, know what you can't do well. It's very similar to playoff basketball in the sense that it's like when teams, because the playoffs are about to start, it's the last day of the NBA regular season, and I really got to go. And Kevin Durant just said this. Well, the playoffs are really about will, not skill, because you've played all these teams 4 or 5 times already. They already know the sets. They already know the players. They already know the players' best moves. It's about who wants it more.
Right.
You ain't about to run no new sets after playing 82 games. You're going to run the sets that got you to the playoffs. It's about executing the sets. And so much like hip hop, this is about who's about to execute. And I'm more of a Ross fan than a Drake fan, anybody who's ever followed me. But I know Drake has a history of executing. I don't know what these other guys' execution looks like in these battles. It's kind of like this. Like OKC and Minnesota, well, they might have better records than a team like Phoenix or Golden State or LA. But if they have to match up on one of those teams, well, I would be worried for those teams because those teams are not battle tested the way a Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are, the way a Steph Curry and Klay Thompson is, the way a LeBron James and Anthony Davis is. It's different when it go live. And so, do you remember the Golden State Sacramento series last year?
Mm-hmm.
Sacramento had a far better team last year than Golden State.
They did.
But Golden State knew how to operate with that type of pressure and tension on the line. It's different when that pressure and tension is on the line. And it's the same shit in this hip hop space. So I'm not bigging up Drake because I'm some big Drake fan all of a sudden. I'm bigging up Drake because he has the resume that says, oh no, y'all need to be more worried about him than he should be worried about y'all. Y'all ain't proving yourselves in this space, especially Kendrick.
Exactly.
And I gotta go.
Peace, bro.
Cool. Be safe,
Peace.
bro.
Appreciate y'all. Everybody like and subscribe.
Yeah, cool. It's a drop during the whole thing. Now y'all see why I named him Coop Pac. I should have trademarked that last year when I
Cooper Belly.
I should have trademarked that. But no, AG, before we get up out of here, in the last thing you wanna hear?
Yeah, I wanna let's segue into the Ross record because I don't want to leave, skip over that any. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to hit me up on that. Like, yo, I got a feeling that Ross is going to come out with something, and lo and behold, like an hour later, he dropped. So, what was your thoughts on that record?
Ross scares me a little bit when it comes to this whole battle because we know what Ross can do. I didn't like the fact that he used the white boy reference at the end. That could have been cut off. I thought that was a little bit corny. I thought that was going a little bit too far. With that whole, that whole banter. I didn't like that at all. But I think Ross has the ability to really do some damage, to be quite honest. Because Ross, if you want to call it what you want to call it, he gave 50 some problems, during that beef.
He
And
did.
Ross doesn't back down. Ross is always that guy that has a good pen. He has a good ear for music. So the beat is going to be fire. The production is going to be fire. He can do the things that Future definitely cannot do. I don't think that Drake has to worry about Future anymore at this point. I don't think he has to worry about Metro at this point. I think, of course, K. Dot goes without saying. I think Ross is the one you got to be careful about, because Ross can't take it there. For him to put together that in less than an hour or so, that tells you where he can go with it. He has a good pen, so we got to be careful with Ross.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the thing that Ross came out with could be refuted, right? He even said at one point that he had more money than Drake. I was like, oh, okay, Ross.
Yeah, Ross is gonna fabricate. That's what
Yeah.
Ross do. We know that about Ross. He's gonna fabricate. He's gonna put some stink on it, right? But I think that I think with Ross, you got to be careful with Ross, because when I messaged you yesterday and said, "Yo, man, Ross is the wild card," I really mean that. I think he's the wild card. He's definitely the wild card.
Yeah, I think I'm more sad than anything, though. I hate to see these two go at it because they done made a lot of classic records together, for real. But I think the thing that landed for me was when he was talking about, Drake having a nose job and all that because he didn't want to look like his dad. That made me laugh. But that speaks to something to hip hop as well, because I was kind of thinking of some diss records, because when Ross said that, it wasn't in a bar. He was just talking his ish at the end of the record, right?
Right.
Sometimes, like, I've heard 50 Cent do that. Ross did that. Pac has done it. Like, how do you feel if it's not within the bar work, but somebody's just talking their ish at the end of the record and get some points off, land some jazz, but it's just talking? Like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, it's all fair at this point, isn't it? At this point, like, everything has to be put out there on the table, right?
Yeah, but to me, it gets an asterisk if you wasn't clever enough to put it within the bar work. That's for me.
It does, but right now, when you're responding in real time and you're not processing what's being thrown, this is what you're going to get. You're not going to get something that's going to be original flavor. You're not going to get something that's going to make a lot of sense in the beginning. You're going to get a lot of emotion, right? And think about this. If Jay probably shouldn't have responded with Super Ugly because he was emotionally charged, right? Super Ugly came out. It came out, what, was it 2 days or 3 days?
It was quick, yeah.
It was pretty quick, right? He was emotionally amped up because he was still like, his team looking at him like, "Yo, what you gonna do, son?" And he's sitting there like, "I'm emotional right now. I'm going on the radio station. I'm going bonkers," and it didn't land.
Right.
When you get a chance to really process what's being thrown at you in whatever capacity, you have a better mindset to go into that battle. You know what I'm saying? I think with all of this, I don't think they knew Drake was going to come out on a big Saturday, on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
I don't think no one anticipated that, right? I don't even think Drake, and I don't think Drake held on to this record. I think this is something that he probably, took time to really think through and started putting together in the last 24 to 48 hours. I'm only assuming that because it sounds very fresh, it sounds very direct, and it sounds like very current. When you do stuff like that, you're going to get certain emotional attachments to it. You will get certain emotional jobs from it. So I don't disagree with you, bro. I just think that this is a byproduct of it, to be quite honest.
Right. Overall, in the grand scheme of things, man, I'm happy that we back here in hip hop. And I hope, as a hip hop fan, I'm hoping Kendrick comes back with, a hard body blow or a hard uppercut. You know what I mean? But I don't think it needs to be on a feature per se. You know what I mean? He needs to put his own track and address Drake fully on that. And then Drake said, "We're not even close to pushing the red button." I seen, something was posted online where he was DMing somebody. So evidently he got more in the tuck that he could
more.
fully focus on Kendrick. But what I don't want to hear is I'm good on the Future thing. I think he took care of Future, Weekend, Metro in one fell swoop. I think he was, real efficient in doing that.
Yeah,
Like, but he's willing to take. He's putting stuff out there. Like, I mean, he's pointing out nasty work, saying Weekend's manager was flying dudes out, and stuff like. I mean,
that was nasty.
yeah, like he was taking it there in the bars, but I don't see any reason for him to address them anymore. Maybe Ross,
No,
because he gave Ross one
no.
line saying he was going, cuff his next girl like Ricky. So, that was a nod to his CO pass, but he just tapped him with that one bar, and then Ross comes out with his whole joint against Drake. So he might need to address Ross again going forward, but his sights definitely need to be set on Kendrick. But I think the ball is in Kendrick's court as far as Drake's concerned. Drake can respond to Ross if he wants to, but I say you let Kendrick throw the next blow.
That's crazy. Throw the next blow is crazy.
Let me no Diddy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's crazy. You say body blow and not throw the next blow. That's crazy.
Yeah, but we'll get that stricken from the record.
Yeah, that's crazy. We edit that one out. Nah, I think that oh man, that's crazy. Now let me ask you this: is Kendrick on the clock now? Because we put Drake on the clock, we put Cole on the clock.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
On the clock. So now, do we put Kendrick on the clock?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, bro, because Kendrick had however long to write his verse for Like That, because it just kind of came out of nowhere. And then Drake's been on the clock to respond these last 3 weeks. So yes, Kendrick is on the clock. And Drake said in the bars, if y'all haven't heard the first version of the disc, go back and listen to it. He said, so he knows some information. He said, you don't had this disc for 4 years, go ahead and drop it or shut up. Right. So when Kendrick does come with the diss track, how are we going to grade that if it's something that's been in the tub for 4 years or if it's something that was just written now, if we're able to distinguish that? How would you feel if he released a joint that he had 4 years ago?
I don't want that. That's crazy. To me, that's crazy because you 4 years removed from that. You know what I mean? Now he probably get it dusted off and put some things here and there on it, but I don't want that. I want you to be current. I want you to be in the moment because you made that slick rhyme against them. You was in a moment. So keep that same energy in the moment because now we're talking about built up frustration against an artist. That's not the good energy right there to go with, right? Because now if you're holding these things in the tuck and you're just waiting for the moment to release it, and it's been over 4 years, why bother? Why bother? Scrap that. That's dead now. Because you can take rhymes from it and piece it together and make it more current.
Rappers do that all the time. Yeah.
They do that all the time. I get that part. But just to go in the vault 4 years ago and you put it out, it may sound like a 4-year record. And we're going to know that. But the question is, do we pick it apart? Because right now we are picking apart Drake. Do we pick apart?
People won't do Kendrick the same. People won't do Kendrick the same.
We got to keep it above board. If we're not doing that, then what's all this battle for? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that what I would like to see, because people are on Metro's case, but Metro's not a rapper. He can only tweet something or whatever. But what would be dope for me as a hip hop fan is if Kendrick does respond with a diss track, it needs to be over a Metro. It doesn't have to be over a Metro beat, but for me, that would be dope. You know what I mean? If Metro was the one that produced it, you know what I'm saying, to come back at Drake some kind of way.
I can see that. It's going to have to be one of those. And Metro's, he's on fire when it comes to production. So
Metro's dope.
If I'm Future, I'm leaving this alone.
Right.
I said what I said. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna go back and do my Future thing. If I'm Weekend, I'm not getting involved in no capacity. I'm leaving that alone as well.
We don't want to hear that anyway.
We don't want to hear that anyway. I'm not a Weekend fan. I think he's overrated, but that's a conversation for a different day. But I think that at this point, let's get the little guys out the way. No disrespect, because they're all talented. And
Did you hear the Ja Morant story?
I'm not gonna
about
talk
the
about that.
NBA player doing the gritty or whatever. It's always over a girl. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
allegedly Drake and Ja Morant, what I'm saying, dated the same chick. So Ja
I
Morant
can't,
caught a stray.
I can't speak on you know the Java rant. Yeah, shout out to Rimba, shout out to Dazzle.
Oh,
Damn.
okay.
Yeah, let's get off of that. Let's get off of that real quick. But you and Coop, man, you and Coop would get me. You're cool, man. But yo, yeah, you're right. That was a good bar. But that's what
Yeah.
Drake do. That's what
Yeah.
Drake do. Drake go, he mess with other guys, girls, man.
Yeah. It's always over a girl, man.
Always
Always.
over
It's
a
crazy.
girl. Always over a girl, man. But I think that what we have to be careful about now is like we can't let the media dictate how this goes moving forward. Because let's leave it in the hands of hip hop. Let's not leave
That's
it in the hands
impossible, bro.
of TikTok. I know, but it dilutes it because we can't give credit to K Dot one line and Rick Ross saying white boy at the end and not give credit to Drake even taking on all these guys. Pause for Dolo. You know what I mean? No one jumped in. We didn't get a Wayne verse or Wayne reference. We didn't get a Nicki reference. We didn't get no one from Young Money or OVO. We got some tweets here and there, but that's about it. But we didn't get anything that said, yo, we ride. We didn't even get a 21 Savage quote or anything like that. You know, the people who still rock with him. So he's really going for Dolo at this point.
But why do you think his standard is different? Do you think because people just genuinely don't like him as an individual? Because the lines that are gas for Rick Ross, if Drake said them, people would be like, "Oh, that's whack or corny or whatever." Or do you think it's just because he's that much better? Because to me, Kendrick is better than Drake lyrically. Drake is, not as good as Kendrick, but the things that Kendrick said and like that were held in higher regard than what Drake said in this record. And I think that's because of who Drake is. But if you hold him to a higher standard, then do you think he's better or you just hate the guy?
Man, they would hate the guy. Let's be honest. They want to see Drake fall off. They want to see Drake lose, man.
Right.
I mean, it's no different than Ja Rule. When Ja Rule was at the peak of his game, that's when it was. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those things where they wanted to see him finally fall off. He was running things. People gotta remember, those who weren't there in real time, Ja Rule was running everything, not just New York. Ja Rule was running hip hop, period. We were all in the club shaking the tail feather to Ja Rule joint. We all were doing it. Like, I'm not a dancer, but everybody was dancing to them Ja Rule joints. Every guy was on there, well, I'll be without you. Like, everybody was doing it. But then it got to the point where he was oversaturated. He was oversaturated to the market, and they wanted to get him up out of here. And who better to get him up out of here but his arch nemesis? I don't think Drake truly has an arch nemesis. Honestly, I think all of these guys they're collaborators. They were collaborators. He may have done some foul stuff to them in some capacity, but he doesn't have a true arch nemesis.
I think Kendrick is that. I think Kendrick is that for real.
Is he?
Yeah, because he's commercially viable, not as big of a star as Drake, but Kendrick's a superstar. He's a phenomenal artist, and he's better lyrically. So yes, he's the one. He's the one, and that's why the whole loss to Pusha T thing. It doesn't really, it's a stain on Drake's career, but it didn't really affect him in that way because it came from Pusha T, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't view Pusha T as an equal for Drake. That's why Joe Budden came out with a whole diss EP to Drake, and Drake didn't even respond because, Drake personally holds, Joe high as a lyricist, but he can play that card with his fan base. Like, I ain't responding to this peasant, whatever. But Kendrick is the one guy that's viable on that level that if he takes a bad loss to Kendrick, I see it affecting him more than the Pusha T loss because even with the salacious thing with him hiding the kid with the chick or whatever, like I said, some people in certain rap circles don't look at Pusha T like that and they just write that off or whatever. But if he takes an L to Kendrick, Kendrick is his nemesis, and this will hurt his career worse if he takes a big loss to Kendrick. But the one thing he got to help him out is he's fighting like 20 battles right now. Like, it's really saying a lot that to Drake being that dude because he's got to fight off like 20 different artists.
It's a lot of noise, but I slightly disagree with you, bro. I don't think Kendrick is his true nemesis. I don't, because maybe my definition is different. When I define the true nemesis, I'm talking about Jay and Nas. I'm talking about Jai and 50. I'm talking about Shannon and KRS-One. I'm talking about those who have set a certain tone to say, this is my direct competition because of X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying?
They've been subbing each other for a decade, though, and they genuinely got a disdain. And that was the difference with Cole. Cole, wants to be cool with everybody, but Kendrick and Drake really don't like each other.
According to who?
Them. Them. You know what I'm saying? They've been subbing each other for a decade. I mean, it's been a long road to get to this point. Like, if you don't put Kendrick in that spot as Drake's nemesis, then he has none and he's above the entire fray. Kendrick is the guy.
I want to process that, and we'll either talk offline about that or talk on Thursday about that, because I want to process that.
No doubt.
I got a lot of different things going through my mind right now with regards to that, because I don't fully disagree, but I disagree with certain fragments of that, because I don't know if the public pushed them to be competitive towards one another, or if they're truly arch nemesis. I don't think they're cross paths enough to be a specific arch nemesis. That's just my opinion. You know what I mean? I want to process.
You mean personally or in the commercial world?
I think universal. I think when you think about, again, not to continue to harp on Nas and Jay, there were certain breadcrumbs that led to what we got to them at their battle, right? There were certain things, there were certain situations that were happening during this time that made you feel like at some point these guys going to have to clash. And I think Nas even said in one of his rhymes, as we're going to have to end up. It's coming up to that point. I think with Drake and K Dot, there are a lot of distractions in between that, because, like you said, he's going up against a lot of people right now. You know what I mean? A lot of people right now, and those are distractions. It's not like a tunnel vision to each other, because J. Cole jumped out there first and he apologized. That took the steam away from that directness that they had. I feel like every time we had an opportunity to get to this point between Drake and Kendrick, there were distractions. There were a lot of distractions around it because everybody wanted a piece of pie. Rick Ross, he's a fly guy. He's more known for fly talk and luxury talk than reality at times, right? Him jumping out there was him saying, "Look at me, guys, look at me. I'm still Rose, huh?" That's him. So now he becomes a distraction, right? He becomes a distraction to the road that is being paved for these guys to come, meet each other.
The main event.
The main event. He's a distraction because, like you said earlier, now do we have a situation where Drake got to go back and address Ross? Or does he stay on the same road and trajectory to go at K Dot? How long does it take for K Dot to even respond? Does K Dot take a month? Does he take a couple of weeks? Does he take a couple of days? If he takes a couple of weeks, do we lose the luster for it? You know what I mean? Does it dilute now at this point, because now it's dying down? I think my mind is racing right now.
I think this has been a problem since Control, and they've been sending subs back and forth, whether it be in interviews, comments, on record. And I think in a lot of ways, this may be kind of like a Mayweather-Pacquiao situation. Drake always knew he was the top guy when Kendrick was on the rise. So when Kendrick started, begging him to come outside to spar with him, Drake in Mayweather fashion was like, I ain't, fighting this guy. You know what I mean? Just kind of like, not that he was ducking in. I don't think that Drake really thought that Kendrick was on his level, but the fans did. And then now we're getting this battle now that we should have got like 6 or 7 years ago, where Mayweather Pacquiao was a little bit late on that.
You made my point, because we'll talk about it on Thursday. You made my point.
Okay.
Point.
All right. We're gonna save that when we're gonna table that.
Yeah, you made my point. Yeah.
I ain't rolling. I'm gonna have to hear your counter argument, but we'll see.
We say the same thing, just in a different space. Like I'm more Magneto right now. You're more Professor X. Yeah, we're on that type of time right now.
No doubt.
Ready to wrap this thing?
Yes, sir.
Yo, again, shout out to all of you who came in, popping in with us this morning. We thank y'all hopping in on a Sunday morning. Shout out to Coopervelli. He had to hop out because he had to go take care of some other things. But we want to bring this to the forefront. There's so much to still talk about. Shout out to even the Rap Roundtable for having the courage to go on live yesterday to even jump into the fray in the middle of all of this. And as y'all can see, so much is still happening. So much is still going on as we continue to unfold this. We will definitely be back on Thursday. We got some more stuff in store. We appreciate all of you guys. Appreciate the love. Thank you for the chat. Thank you all for looking out for us and everything. Yo, Stacks, appreciate you in the background, engineering, Trife Boogie, our other engineer. Shout out to Taj, aka Animal Thug. Yo, appreciate all of you guys. Shout out to everybody who popped in today. And y'all go to church and get some savings and some grace. Do one for me too. Peace. We out.
No doubt. Peace.
No doubt.